Marcus Jones, this is a phenomenal win for you guys. A lot of people came in here talking about the Texans defense, but your defense really showed out. No touchdowns last week, just one touchdown allowed today. What kind of statement did your defense make?
Yeah, I think we made an important statement. You know, as on the defensive side, you know, we always talk about causing turnovers and everything, whether we could score the ball or get the ball back to 10. So it was just a situation that we were just proud of and everything like that, causing turnovers and stuff. But we're going to get the stuff that we need to correct it and everything like that for next week.
I mean, in these conditions, it was nonstop snow. Drake Maye overcame some turnovers of his own, had 3 touchdowns on the night. What can you say about his poise and his coolness under pressure?
Yeah, man, we trust him with everything, you know, every throw, every decision that he makes and everything, no matter where the ball at, you know, on the defensive side, we're trying to get the ball back to him.
And first AFC championship game in almost several years, since 2018. How special is this team this year under Mike Vrabel?
Very special. You know, it started off in the offseason with OTAs and everything, building on the training camp. We had a lot of new faces, but everyone has the same goal, so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And for more, we head back out to Foxborough, where part of our award-winning team of the NFL on CBS, A.J. Ross, is standing by in the snow globe. Quite a scene, quite a 60 minutes. Give us a taste of it all here, A.J., what you took in post-game as the celebration did roll on.
I mean, the energy was electric here, and as we came down, right about the 2-minute warning during the commercial break, the entire stadium here at Gillette was rocking. They were singing in unison, they were celebrating. You can tell this is something the fan base here, and even extending beyond here, has been waiting for it for a long time. Since the Tom Brady era, there is new life, new excitement, and anticipation with this team, and there seems to be something special, especially something storybook with Mike Vrabel at the helm of this team this year, guys.
Yeah, an air of new to it all, but an old place that they've been so many times before. You allude to the head coach, and I always think that these teams at this point of the season are reflections of their head coach, specifically on the defensive side of that ball. They've taken on that temperament. How have you seen that rub off from coach to player?
Actually, as you mentioned just that, I was speaking with Robert Spillane not too long ago, and he talked about Vrabel setting a tone very early on in OTAs that, you know, he's an equal opportunity employer, if you will. If you show effort, if you show relentlessness, especially on that side of the ball, you get a chance to be on the field. And that's something that they instilled very early on, all the way through the regular season. Again, I think a lot of people, as I asked Marcus Jones, were talking about the Texans defense and maybe should have talked about the Patriots defense a little bit more. They were top 10 in various statistical categories all throughout the regular season. They set the tone early in this particular matchup. Marcus Jones with that pick 6. They forced 4 interceptions in the first half alone. This is a defense that has really made a statement and has been making a statement and should be on the radar a little bit more.
Interesting player to player, what they want to talk about post-game. How much Denver did you overhear in the final moments here? Or was the celebration a bit too much? Everybody still enjoying?
I think they were just in the moment, not looking too far ahead to Denver. Again, this was more about accomplishing what they needed to do tonight, to the fans here, giving them something to cheer about. They were also, of course, you know, exchanging different words of encouragement to the Texans, who did have a formidable year, who, you know, have a great defense as well. So I think this is a team that obviously they'll reset tomorrow, but they're celebrating, they're taking in the moment tonight.
A.J. Ross standing in the pocket and delivering. We appreciate the report as always.
Thank you.
All right, our coverage continues here on CBS Sports HQ, as this is quite the turnaround and one in immediate fashion. Teams to reach a conference title game after a 13 or more loss season the year prior. Well, you get the quarterback right, you get the head coach right, and you get back to where you belong. The Patriots hoping that they can take this thing deeper than just the AFC title game. Title game for the first time since 2018. That was their last Super Bowl win. It's their 16th AFC title game appearance in franchise history, tied for the most time, all time that is, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as May and the Pats move on. All right, a look at some numbers here, and this is a well-known matchup, especially in the AFC title game. The last 3 times they've met, now 3. The last 2 times they've met, it's been in the AFC Championship game a decade ago in 2015, 2 years prior in 2013. A lot of Manning and Brady in there. Well, it'll be May and Stidham this Sunday for the AFC title. Back in studio with the fellas to take a look at what's next for the Houston Texans. And JJ, we've been having this conversation for the better part of a couple months here as the spotty play of C.J. Stroud has offered a little bit of question to what felt like a sure thing after those first 18 games his rookie season. Contractually, what we see nowadays is after year 3 with these prized quarterbacks, we come to the table and we do the dance. What does this offseason look like after this end scene and some of what we've seen throughout the year for Stroud these last 2 years?
So you're right, absolutely, Joe. Usually after year 3, you can do a contract with your top quarterback. And of course, number 2 overall pick, offensive rookie of the year, his rookie year, typically this summer would be the time. I don't know that any deal is going to be reached. If the Houston Texans wanted to reach a long-term contract extension with C.J. Stroud, it would have to be at a number that C.J. Stroud, I cannot imagine, and his representation would accept, right? Because you just haven't seen enough these past 2 years. Now, look at comps. The quarterback in the year prior is Brock Purdy. He got a $53 million per year contract this past summer when he was ready to go. You're not getting there with C.J. Stroud after this season, right? And so now you look at it, okay, Bryce Young was drafted number 1 overall. What are the Panthers doing with him? They are using the 5th-year option for Bryce Young, and they're saying, we want to see it again in 2026, and we'll kick the can down the road and figure it out. And if it costs us more money later, that's okay, but we're not locking into it right now. I suspect that is something the Houston Texans ultimately will do. Nick Caserio, the general manager, has been very good about paying guys a year early rather than a year late. We have seen that across the roster. But when it comes to the quarterback position and the amount of cap that you have to devote to that quarterback position, you have to get it right. And I think I cannot imagine they're going to be able to agree on a number for these two sides.
So, JJ, you highlighted the financial terms moving forward with C.J. Stroud. I would like to highlight the football side of things.
Please.
How can the Houston Texans get the rookie year C.J. Stroud back in the building? Because what we've seen since C.J. Stroud's rookie year has kind of been a decline in production with how well he performed his rookie year, because we felt like he was going a direction where only few quarterbacks can go based on how good he was. But then when I look at the numbers, guys, his rookie year, completed 63% of his passes, 23 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Remember, we praised him for being so smart with the football.
Yeah.
He was sacked 38 times. In year 2, 3,700 yards, over 3,700 yards, 63% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, but he was sacked 52 times. Now, what they did this season, JJ, Joe, they had one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League in 2024. But they went and traded away their best asset from a bad line, and Laramie Tunsil.
They were trying to be a year early on this.
But you're trying to be a year early. You actually got worse.
Yep.
Because he was a part of a bad unit, but he was the best player on that said bad unit, which was the offensive line. So now you came into this season trying to revamp the offensive line, trying to get ahead of potential financial problems, but you did no justice in helping a young quarterback, and of course he was dealing with injuries. So you look at how he was under duress in this playoff game.
Yeah.
You look at how he was under duress last week in Pittsburgh. If your offensive line isn't better, if they don't get better, if they don't improve, your quarterback will not improve.
Yeah.
Remember how bad Drake Maye looked in spurts his rookie year. And what we said, who's protecting him? Who's keeping him upright? They revamped the offensive line for the better good. They became better. And guess what? Your quarterback became better.
Yeah.
Man, so that's the first common sign for a team in terms of high-level quarterback play. What will your offensive line do?
Yep.
And how consistent can they be? So that's something I will look at. You make great points about the financial terms. Right now, he won't have the financial leverage we thought he would have.
That's right.
Coming after year 3. But if you're Houston, okay, let's find a way to get the most out of C.J. Stroud. How can we do that? Improve the offensive line.
Yeah, it looked far more unsure from the contractual standpoint, but also from the C.J. Stroud and football standpoint. Looks like there's a hesitation right now that it did not look like there was a free-wielding sense to his game early on in his career, but you make a great point about the offensive line and protecting the football. If we are putting C.J. Stroud, JJ, in the best position to succeed, what does that look like moving forward as we assess the free agents and the current financial situation there in Houston.
Well, there is no question about figuring out the offensive line, and that should probably be priority number one. I also want to say I think they got the offensive coordinator right there in Houston. Bobby Slowick wasn't the guy for C.J. Stroud. They brought in Nick Caley. You remove the first 3 games of the season. This offense was pretty good when C.J. Stroud, or when the quarterback, did not turn over the football. They also locked in Davis Mills on a multi-year contract, so they have the backup quarterback position taken care of. I know in this game we have talked about how they didn't have Nico Collins for this game, didn't have Dalton Schultz, lost their other tight end. Let's also remember that for this entire season, they didn't have Tank Dell.
Yeah.
And for this entire season, they didn't have who was supposed to be RB1 in Joe Mixon, right? And so from a team building standpoint, you think about this, gosh, figure out this offensive line. 1 year of all those guys working together. Hopefully in 2026 they get better. But he did have the weapons starting out, at least in theory, on paper. They're going to have to figure out that offensive line, because I do think that they have the offensive weaponry around him.
Yeah, when you look at the free agents, you look at guys, you traded for Christian Kirk. We know he's a proven commodity. I don't think you want to bring a guy into your organization for only 1 year. But his number, I don't know what his number would look like. You talk about getting Tank Dell back. Even with him being cleared at some point in time, we believe in 2026. You don't know, will he become the Tank Dell of old?
It was a serious injury.
It was a very, very serious injury. And the thing about Tank Dell, his game was predicated on speed and quickness, because he's an undersized wide receiver. You look at Sheldon Rankins. I think anything on that defensive line you want to keep intact as best as possible, because we know what they can do in terms of the continuity and the rhythm that they already have established. So they have some serious questions that will need to be answered, because for such a long time they've had a hold. Since D'Amico has become the head coach there, they've had a hold on their division. But the Jacksonville Jaguars with Lim Cohen, I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. And we saw how the Colts jumped out the blocks to start the season. So the AFC South will be a little more competitive than what we've seen in years past. And I think for Houston, you have to continue to monitor what's going on and make sure whatever moves you make, they're calculated and they're for the greater good of the team.
And then consider who they're playing next year. So the AFC South is getting better. They have the AFC North that they face, so that's going to be difficult. They have the NFC East, so that's going to be difficult. And because they finished second in the AFC South, they get the Buffalo Bills. As we know, they have the Green Bay Packers, and they have the LA Chargers. Wow. That is, I mean, look at the schedule right here. Okay, so, I mean, you deal with your division, of course. You have, again, the AFC North, you get the NFC East, and then, my goodness, to get the second teams with the Green Bay Packers and the Chargers, that's going to be very difficult for the Texans.
To your point, you got to be so good just to afford yourself these sorts of opportunities. And once again, the Houston Texans, good enough to get to a divisional round, but not good enough to get any further. Gentlemen, thank you. A look here at where those have come to rest, and unfortunately, it's been the divisional round. 0-7 in the divisional round. That includes losses in 3 consecutive seasons, as the Houston Texans remain the only franchise in the NFL to never make a conference championship game. More coming here on